Good morning, everybody. Guys, also, we have an awesome announcement. 10 o'clock tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern, will be the Space Water Podcast, episode 13. That'll be tonight. And we almost got 9,000 subscribers here on YouTube, so let's keep it going. I'm going to get to 10K soon. And oh my God, you guys check out Typical Skeptic Podcast with Robert, my good buddy Robert. I was on the other night doing crystal skull readings and aura washing, calling upon the light of the auroras that's being bathed in the celestial ship of the North, the Big Dipper constellation right now over North America. And we are receiving codes of light from the sun. These are plasma waters. And tonight, right here on the Space Water Podcast, episode 13, you're going to be talking about the water birds of the dawn. We're going to be talking about my first book that's coming out from my series called Time is a River. And we're going to be talking about some incredible things related to information that the sun is sending, and how our ancient ancestors were giving us some valuable knowledge that has to do with the way creation, evolution, sustenance, all of that transpires, and where everybody's place is in nature. Unfortunately, we lost this information, we lost this knowledge, and now we are a species that's lost. But we can find our way again, and that's only inside the light. And I want to share with you guys a very interesting story this morning. So tune in tonight at 10 p.m. on the Space Water Podcast. You guys see the title of this interesting, very shocking. I also want to put a little disclaimer out there. This is, I'm not going to get too graphic, but this could be sensitive topic to some people out there, right? But it's a true story. It's a true crime story that happened to people that I knew that were very close to me when I was a young boy, and as growing up as a young child in the 80s, the early 80s and late 80s. And this is a story of a diabolical Marian apparition. What's up, Ra the Creator? Now, you guys have seen even the Catholic Church right now. It's in the news about them making decisions over what's a real Marian apparition, what's a diabolical Marian apparition. And you guys have known my work on plasma physics within and plasma, sentient plasma intelligences, that it's basically the way the universe runs. Every sun is like a plasma computer, right? And it's sending out incredible amounts of information that has to do with creation, evolution, destruction, sustenance, rebirth, right? And it's talked about in all religions, all mythologies. And I'm basically at an undergraduate, a senior undergraduate level in plasma physics over the last 5 years. And I'm just now starting to get some of the ways to describe it to you guys, and not just the spiritual ways, which is how I first came upon this knowledge. But then I had to go into the scientific aspect to be able to explain it and not sound like I'm completely insane, right? Because if you give the scientific evidence behind it, it holds more weight, unfortunately. You can't just come with the spiritual stuff. And that's the problem with scholars. They only keep the scholarship side of these ancient writings. They don't realize that it was written for spiritual initiates and adepts, right? It wasn't even written for scholars. So to try to describe it in just a scholarship way, you're just going to get what the word means, not the spiritual metaphor and the significance and the coding and the symbolism behind these ancient inscriptions and petroglyphs and everything else, right? So I do think the Fatima apparition was some sort of sentient plasma intelligence directly involved with the sun. This is why people talk about Project Blue Beam, and this has to do with plasma technology that might be able to broadcast holographic, all sorts of things might be able to push themselves into matter like that, you know. in this, most of the visible universe is sentient plasma. Realize that 99.99% of the universe, it's another state of matter, right? And we don't completely understand it. And tonight, if you tune in at the 10 p.m., we'll be talking about the information that's coming from the sun, the electrons, and how the birds are broadcasting that information as well. So, and it's in all mythology. So, what was I talking about? This incredible story that's really changed my life as well. So, growing up as a kid, there was a neighbor of mine that was very close to me. Her maiden name is Rotella, right? Which they're well known in the area here in the Lower Hudson Valley. Their father was a judge. There's a golf course that's named after them. Like there's a well known family. So their son Eddie Rotella, in the 80s, his sister was my next door neighbor and like kind of like a second mother to me, right? She married and had her own kids, and those kids spent a lot of time with me. And her brother Ed, he had a big, huge construction company in the area that was making all these $1 million homes here in Stony Point and Haverstraw and Rockland County and throughout the Lower Hudson River Valley, right? Even the name of the company was named, it was the initials of the people in their family. His wife Lillian, his son Eddie Jr. that they called EJ, and then the youngest child Kyle. And their boys were only like, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years old, and maybe 3 years old, little kids, right? And my family helped babysit the kids. I played with the kids outside. At the time that they passed, that they were murdered. Remember this, if this is a sensitive topic, you could tune out now. But they were a couple of years younger than me. It was in 1988. I was 10 years old in 1988. And maybe they were like 7 and 3, the kids. Little redheaded kids, really, really cute kids. And so Eddie, the guy who owned the construction company, who was their father, he was like I said, his sister, who was very close to him, was my neighbor, like a second mom to me. And Eddie and his wife and kids, they lived like a mile down the road in these big homes, right? And he had the construction company. He married this woman, Lillian, that was his high school sweetheart. They had these 2 beautiful redheaded kids, because Lillian was a little redhead and freckles. So beautiful kids. They were the typical American dream. The husband had his own construction company making these $1 million homes. They were high school sweethearts. They had the white picket fence and the freaking dog in front and everything, right? And she was a normal housewife. She was big in the community. She was big into politics in the area, right? She was on the town board and things like that. And they were high school sweethearts. Like I said, everybody knew them, right? So go to maybe like a couple of months before, maybe October, November of 1988. So Lillian, who's his wife, has, and you guys can look this up on the internet. I mean, she's called a family annihilator. And now she's free. She only did about 6 or 7 years in the Rockland Psychiatric Center. She got off on being crazy. And now she's remarried and changed her name and everything. And she left her whole family dead, right? So go to like October, November 1988. Her normal housewife, she turns to paranoia, and she starts thinking people are against her in the town, and all this stuff is going on, right? And they brought her to see a psychiatric person, right? And a doctor. And at that time, I guess there was stuff going on, they were worried about her. So I actually spent Thanksgiving dinner with her children on that, because they died on Christmas Eve. So the Christmas Eve before they died, I spent Thanksgiving dinner with these kids. They were over my next door neighbor's house, which is their aunt, for Thanksgiving dinner. We went over there, we had dinner and cake and everything else with them. And I was playing outside with them and my neighbor's kids, which is their cousins. And so she started having all this paranoia going on. She goes to see the psychiatric doctor, psychiatrist, and she tells a psychiatrist that the Virgin Mary has been coming to her in her dreams and telling her to kill her family, right? So, you know, the doctor, this is now they go a couple of days before Christmas to the psychiatric doctor, and she reveals this to him. And the doctor said, well, you know, maybe it's just like some hallucinations. The doctor had asked her if she felt like she was going to do anything violent. She said, no, I think it's just dreams that I'm having and things like that. So the doctor didn't admit her. What he did was prescribe like tranquilizers or something, which he never actually fulfilled this prescription. But she had been premeditating this for months because they found different things like ways to stab somebody and vital points. The thing, like she had been researching and premeditating it. So I don't really believe what I think something demonic had taken her over and she was going to carry this out and get away with it, right? So, and they'll use your spiritual and religious beliefs as weapons against you and diabolically veil themselves as something. I mean, this woman grew up, she even went to the Immaculate Conception Church of Mary growing up. She went to Catholic school, right, of the Immaculate Conception in the area, which is a Catholic school about the Virgin Mary, right? So, her name is Lillian Rotella, her married name, and now it's something else. It's changed. And she's remarried. Please don't let her have children ever again. But so right before Christmas, she's having these Marian apparitions come to her, and she says the Virgin Mary was telling her to kill her family, right? So they prescribe her a trank. They say, all right, after Christmas, come back to us, and we'll take it from there. Take these pills, right, to calm you down. She never goes to fill the prescription for the tranquilizers or whatever, the antipsychotic medication and tranquilizers, whatever they were giving her. Instead, on Christmas Eve, she slaughtered her whole family. I don't want to get too graphic, but what happened is basically she killed the kids in the sauna, the you know, the hot water, the you know, the sauna thing, the hot tub, right? And her husband, maybe she drugged him at dinner or something because he was a 6 foot, over 200 pound dude, and she was about 100 pounds soaking wet, small girl, small woman. The husband, she stabbed him once while he was sleeping, through his back, right through the heart. And then on Christmas morning, then she stabbed herself in the side, but she survived. They found her on Christmas morning, delirious. The bodies were all stripped naked, laying in bed together, and they found her with a knife in her abdomen side. But of course, she lived. She got a really expensive lawyer because she had $1 million company, right? Her husband's company that she worked and was part of. And you know, I knew the lawyer actually because later on in life he actually helped me out on a case, a marijuana case, when I was like 19 years old. So his name was William Frank, and he was a district attorney in the area. And then he became a criminal lawyer, and he got her off on insanity. She did like 6 years in Rockland Psychiatric Center, Lillian Rotella, and then, I mean, I forget what her maiden name was, but now she's back out. You guys can look it up, man. She's on the family annihilator list, and she was someone that I grew up around. And, you know, it changed the way I look, because you never think a mom would do something like that to their family, especially a religious lady who everybody knew in the town. You know, you think that you're safe around moms, right? Where like even like I'm at the park with my daughter. You know, when you see a mom with her kids there, oh, you know, I could leave my daughter with her for a second and turn my back. You know, you can't really. Like, you don't know who these moms are, or who anybody is, right? So it's really, really scary. And yeah, she was someone who I would say is a good example of how a Marian apparition, there are diabolical ones. You know, even in, was it Lourdes, if I'm not mistaken? I mean, she was, that woman, I forget her name now. She, in that apparition, she was hearing these psychic audible screams, diabolical screams, demonic screams during some of her apparitions as well. So there's a lot of stories like that with Catholic saints. You know, when you open up spiritual energies, there's all sorts of things that get attracted to it. So you never know what these apparitions are. Most likely, I would say they are sentient plasma intelligences. And you see all sorts of sentient plasma diving into thunderstorms, congregating, all sorts of things like that. And even NASA has recorded it. This is what the Foo Fighters were most likely in World War II. And that is a story of the woman that I grew up around, Lillian Rotella. And I don't really like to talk about it that much because I'm still friends with the family. Like the lady that whose brother who got killed, Ed, his name was Ed Rotella. His sister is who I'm really close to. Her name is Kim Rotella, but of course she married. Her name is now Kim Rolando. But her maiden name was Kim Rotella. She's his sister. And I'm still close to her family. I'm close with her son and her husband and her stepson. I grew up with them all. So, in fact, her son Nick, I like helped raise that kid. You know, he was always over my house. They lived next door to me. So, really, it's a sad story. And I do think that she was being psychically attacked, demonically possessed, if you want to say. And I don't know how that just goes away. Maybe the possession left her after it carried out its intentions of claiming 3 souls. Really, she got away with slaughtering 3 people, everybody. I mean, look it up. She did like 6 years, I think, in a psychiatric institution, which is nothing like going to prison. 3 people she took the lives of. And yeah, it changed me as a kid. This happened on Christmas Eve, 1988. Yeah, I was 10 years old. It's incredible. My phone's about to die. I can't even see the freaking screen anymore. I can't even end the stream because I can't see the screen. The freaking